Hey, how's it going, everybody? This is Max with BuzzTox here, and I am so happy to be back for another Game of Thrones Season 8 news video. Before we get started, I just want to issue a huge spoiler warning for everybody out there. If you don't want to be spoiled for Game of Thrones Season 8, then leave right now. And on top of that, I want to make an announcement and say that I will be doing a live chat this Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I will be answering all of your Game of Thrones questions. If you have any questions that you want guaranteed to be answered, leave your question in the comment section down below, and I will write it down and make sure to answer it during the live chat. Now, without further ado, let's get right into the news. And the news today is really centered around King's Landing. And there are two aspects to this story: the sets that they're building and the new locations that they're scouting. First of all, we're very familiar with the set that they're building up for King's Landing. It's being made out of a shit ton of wood that's really flammable, and they're building out this whole King's Landing street. We're also seeing a lot of trebuchets, which is indicating a siege or a battle at King's Landing. And what has been hugely speculated and almost confirmed is that they're doing fire tests with these build sites. And that makes a lot of sense, because if you're building a location, chances are it's going to be destroyed. For obvious reasons, you don't want to damage actual property, and it's a lot cheaper to do it that way. And it's been speculated that it's going to be burned down, and that was a question that I raised earlier on what flame could bring it down. Is it green flame? Could it be dragon fire? Could it be Cersei's dirty work as the Mad Queen? Could it be blue flame from the Night King himself? Would he go to King's Landing and destroy it? Or is it Daenerys riding on the back of Drogon, and she would burn it out of a place of desperation? And my personal opinion is that shit's getting too complicated because we got 3 different types of colored flame. But if I were to make an educated guess, I would say Daenerys is the one who would burn King's Landing. First of all, we've seen Cersei bring down the Sept of Baelor, and I don't believe they're going to pull another arc where Cersei would burn down King's Landing. I think it would be a great arc for Daenerys to almost in a point of desperation, because Cersei's bringing in the Golden Company, and she's bringing in men to fight against Daenerys. And I think this will bring her to a point of desperation where she'll almost have to burn some portion of King's Landing to try and get Cersei off the Iron Throne. And I think that's great with her character because she's a liberator, she's a hero, she's a great character. But I would love to see her get pushed to the point of desperation, and to a point where we question her actions as a character. And we've seen these actions come into question in the past.
Enough with the clever plans. I have 3 large dragons. I'm going to fly them to the Red Keep.
We've discussed this.
My enemies are in the Red Keep. What kind of a queen am I if I'm not willing to risk my life to fight them?
A smart one.
The point is that she was in such a bad situation, she was so close to going to the Red Keep and potentially hurting a lot of civilians. And I think it seems natural that in this season, we're having the Golden Company come, we're not having Cersei give up. She's going to be keeping King's Landing, while Daenerys is fighting the threat of the White Walkers. And I think it's going to hit a point where she becomes desperate enough to try and lay siege to King's Landing and get Cersei off the Iron Throne. And that's what these leaks are suggesting. It's not just Daenerys flying to the Red Keep. It's the fact that her men are laying King's Landing to siege, and we're going to see them in the streets and the slums of King's Landing working their way up to the Red Keep. So we could potentially see areas of King's Landing like Flea Bottom, where Davos is from, where Gendry's from. And what adds even more to that is a recent layout that was released for the set that is being built for King's Landing. And it's relatively simple. We got a couple boxes here. One is the archway, and that is clearly the entrance into King's Landing, or potentially the Red Keep, but I seriously doubt it. And then you travel down a narrow passage, which is going to be the road, and then you have a tower overlooking, which I'm pretty sure you're going to see Lannister men shooting arrows down at Daenerys' soldiers. And believe it or not, this picture adds a lot of context to this scene. I'm sure everyone thought something was going to happen between Daenerys and Cersei. But I think building a set to this scale, which is clearly designed as a street to King's Landing, shows the absolute scale of it. That we're going to be seeing men enter into King's Landing fighting in the streets to try and get to the Red Keep. And this has further been confirmed with their scouting for locations. The producers of the show, Dan and Dave, have been seen in Croatia scouting for new locations. And if you didn't know, Croatia is where they film all the scenes for King's Landing. They have these beautiful cities that mock the style of King's Landing. And I think what's key about this news is that there's a reason they're scouting for new locations. In King's Landing, we've seen so much. We've seen the Dragon Pit, we've seen the Red Keep, we've seen the Sept of Baelor, and we've seen little sections of the streets of King's Landing. But it's known that in every season, the producers of the show really like to show a new angle, a new perspective of the worlds that they're creating. And in this sense, in this action set piece, they want to show the slums and the streets of King's Landing, and that is exactly what they're searching for. And I believe that what they're scouting for and the set that they are building are one and the same. They're going to be filming in the streets, but obviously they're going to be filming their destructive bits that involve fire and destruction with the set that they've built. But all the parts where that's not necessary, they're going to be filming on location. So it's going to be interesting to see how much more King's Landing we actually see. It's pretty much a guarantee that we're going to see more of the streets, but are we going to see the Dragon Pit again? Are we going to see the ruins of the Sept of Baelor? But there's one thing I can guarantee is that we are going to be seeing the Red Keep again. And I think we all know how that's going to end up at the end of the series. And the last bit of information that is fascinating is that Kit Harington, the actor who plays Jon Snow, is rumored to be one of the cast members involved in shooting in Croatia. And the reason why that's so big is that we're going to be seeing Jon Snow in King's Landing for whatever reason. And I want to put a huge asterisk beside this. This doesn't mean that Jon Snow is going to be fighting at King's Landing. It makes a lot of sense, but there are many reasons to argue why he wouldn't be at the streets of King's Landing fighting through. He did pledge his sword to Daenerys, and he said that he would serve her. But at the end of the day, he's now a Targaryen that has a better claim to the throne than she does. So it will be really interesting to see where power resides. But I honestly wouldn't be shocked. We may see Jon Snow in King's Landing either fighting for the throne for Daenerys, or we may see Jon Snow in King's Landing when the war is already won and he already sits the throne. If they're going to go the route of making Jon Snow King of Westeros. But that is it for me, everybody. Please leave a like and comment down below. Let me know what you guys think about the new news that is broken, as well as leave some questions down below. I'd love to answer them. Remember, live chat is Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and you can expect more videos from me throughout the week. Alright, take care everybody. See ya.